Mr. Bombastic Bomba.
Hello and welcome back to the Patrick McCory Sports Show.
Hello and welcome back to the Patrick McCory Sports Show presented by Prospect Apparel. Today we are joined by another very special guest, head coach of Law MMA, Ray Longo. How you doing, man?
Yeah, very good, and also Ray Longo fight team. Just to
Ray Longo fight team as well. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The gym is rebranded, right?
Yeah. Well, me and Matt we always had our thing as the fight team, and then me and Chris Weidman opened up a gym, which became War, and a lot of people just use both names, I guess.
Yeah, when in my research there was like so many different names for the gyms and everything popping up, so I went with the latest one that I could find. So
Yeah. We did change a couple of times, but it's all good.
So obviously, most recently over the weekend, Nazim Sadikov coming off a very impressive win. What a fight that was, fight of the night. I mean, how did it feel? You know, as you and John Anik said, you know, you were talking about him being this bright star for so long, and we saw that. How good did it feel seeing him get his hand raised and realizing his potential?
Yeah, no, it was it was a back and forth battle. Hats off to both guys. I mean, Evan Elder. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his now. I thought, Nas, I thought he might have had a little easier time, but man, that fight was both guys. I mean, and he was down 2-0 going into the third, which I thought was probably 1-1, but you could never count on that. And I actually told him at the corner, I think you got to knock him out. I'd have it 1-1, but it's not. That wasn't one of those things where it's definitely 1-1. It was close, man. That kid was way tougher than I thought. So,
Yeah.
But it was great seeing Nas. It was great in the Contender Series. And then, he had a fight of the night performance. What a way to start your UFC career with an extra 50 G's in the bank. So that's always a good feeling.
What a nasty cut that was. I mean, I didn't think it was as bad as it really looked to be. Because I remember I was watching the fight and my mom came in to say goodnight, right? And so as she comes in, the doctor calls off the fight, and I'm like, "What? They called off the fight?" Because I was confused. I wanted more. I wanted what was it? 3 more minutes. I wanted more action.
Yeah, it was
and I didn't realize. And then I was
yeah.
scrolling Twitter and I see the cut, and I'm like, "Man, okay, you know what? Good stoppage. Good call, Mark Smith."
You know what it was? There was like 4.5 minutes to go. I think it was at least 4 minutes.
It was not long into the round.
Nas was definitely going to go for it because we know we needed a finish. So I think that would have gotten uglier and uglier. They could have crashed heads again, because I think he had headbutted Nas in the second round of the first round. But it was one of those fights where they were just like two guys going at it. So that would have gotten uglier and uglier. So they said they could see the vein, and I think that was more of the problem. It was that deep. And I'll tell you that, hopefully he's all right. Looks like he is. He's in great spirits. I think he spoke to Nas. But see, I originally thought Nas needed him in the liver, and I thought Mark Smith wanted to stop it for a low blow. I started screaming that was a liver shot. I didn't even see the cut, even when you go back, because it wasn't like a bleeder.
It wasn't a clear one either, because the way the camera angle caught it, the cut was on the other side. So I didn't see a cut.
I did not see it myself. So it was sigh of relief though. We got it was a great fight. Both guys got to work their stuff. We know what both guys are made out of now. And even Nas, man, what forward pressure. He's a beast. He's gonna grow a lot from that fight. And I think he just gets better and better.
And is there a timeline on his return as well? What can we expect from him? And like when can we expect him back in the cage? I think he said on Anik's show around June, May kind of time.
I would think late May or early June, right? What are we in February? So you get March, April, and start a camp for June. I would think take a couple of months off, and then he's right back in the mix again.
So not on the same card as Aljamain versus Cejudo then?
I think that card's already filled up because Frivola wanted to get on that card, and they look like they're trying for the week after. I think I spoke to Sean. He said he's got him penciled in for the 13th. So I don't think anybody else is getting on that card. Possibly with Frivola, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, do you have an opponent for Frivola yet, or is there just names being thrown out there right now?
No, there's none. He just said he was penciling him in, and he'll get back to us with a name.
fight I'd love to see is Frivola and Alexander Hernandez. I think that would be, especially after Hernandez just beat Miller, that would be a great fight.
That would be a great fight. I think that would be a. I think he would. I think his. Wait, did Alex fight at 45? The fight before this?
Alex fought Billy Q at 45.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's Matt's really close friend. So I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
if that. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it would make it interesting because Billy beat him.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Matt would want to beat him worse. So that would be an interesting fight.
Yeah. And as I mentioned before, Aljamain versus Cejudo, right? That was just announced. I mean, and you kind of said something on the Anik Florian podcast where you kind of hinted at maybe being in New York, kind of like a home field thing, right? Is there any update on that? Because obviously that podcast dropped this morning. So
Yeah.
any update on that you've gotten?
No updates, just a lot of hinting.
Okay. Would it be like a New York State, like Brooklyn kind of thing if they're going for New
No,
York?
it wouldn't be in Brooklyn, but it would be more on the East Coast, maybe.
Okay.
Aljo actually can't fight New York because he's got a brain scan that for some reason every other commission has approved him except for New York. Because I think New York is so litigious and they've gotten sued by, I think there was a big boxing fight where they got hammered. So they just overly cautious and they were supposed to change it, but I don't think they ever did.
Maybe Massachusetts then. It's kind of in the similar area, right? Like up there, Northeast, maybe then he'll get a lot more fanfare up there.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully. I mean, I'd like to see it on the East Coast, but nothing's for sure. Nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah, he loves Vegas, so.
Oh, he loves Vegas. So if he had his choice, that's where the fight is. So we'll see. Maybe. You never know.
So, I wanted to ask you, because you have Merab and Aljo who love Vegas. What is it about Vegas and the PI that draws so many fighters to go there? Because there's a few fighters who do their camp at the PI, right? So what is it about the PI and everything? And Vegas just being there draws fighters in, like young fighters and experienced fighters.
Well, look, it's very intoxicating for a couple of reasons. First off, you could buy a house there, a beautiful house there, for basically no money. You couldn't even buy a house in Long Island for that type of money. That they could get you'd have to pay at least like $1 million, $1.1 million in Long Island for any house they have, and they're getting those houses for or they were at like maybe 400 grand. So there's no state tax. There's a lot of things. I mean, financially, it works out better for them. They get their food for free. They can get their PT whenever they want. So, these young guys, the weather's great, right? It's not, you don't have winter here like we have, sometimes brutal winters. So I think that's the intoxicating thing. It's not even about the training. The training, I think, I would think they get better training here, but it's the other stuff just outweighs it. And they bring people out there. Our guys, it's a pretty close-knit team. So, even for Aljo's last fight, he had Iaquinta, Dennis Bazooka, Merab, everybody. They flew to Dubai. They were in Vegas. They're here. So it's a little different. It's not a big gym where everything has to be done at the gym. So I think, they know how to navigate those waters out in Vegas now, and they have the PI whenever they wanted. Merab's been working with John Wood at Syndicate, who seems like he's a really nice guy. And that's it. They just, it's financial, it's geographical, it's a lot of things.
And you mentioned the housing market in Long Island. Can Ala Quinta not help them get a better house, right? Can he not give them a little deal?
He could help them find the house, but he can't dictate the prices of the house. That's the problem. So, look, there's Long Island, great educational system. I think, New York got the best doctors in the world. So there's a million things that go with that. But I mean, if you're a young guy, you could spend a couple of years out there and then always come back and, have a great time. The testosterone's flowing. It's hard to hold these guys back.
And I wanted to ask you, because when I first looked you up, like in my research, the first thing that came up, it wasn't MMA coach, it was actor. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. That's totally incorrect.
Also, so I looked up and I looked into it, right? So you've been in 3 movies and you've been in 1 episode of Kevin Can Wait.
That was the highlight of my career.
So Was that something you like would like to continue doing, like just small roles in movies?
Yeah, I would like that. Yeah. It was pretty cool. All of those roles became, I got because I knew people. Though it wasn't like I was
Yeah.
auditioning. So I think if you made me go audition, I'm not probably going to do it. But I knew enough people where I was lucky enough to get some of those parts. It was great. And for me, it was different because it's nerve wracking. It's not what I'm used to. So it kind of got me outside of my comfort zone. And I think that's what I really liked about it. And I've been in front of the camera enough times, so it all worked out. There's certain parts that I think, I do enjoy it, but I'm not going to pursue it 100%. But if it came to me, I'm definitely taking it.
And was there anyone in the gym that helped you learn your lines for your small roles?
Oh, we used to always Weidman had Weidman had a really big role on Kevin Can Wait. He had a couple episodes that he had a lot of speaking lines. So yeah, me, Weidman, were always going back and forth with lines, even stuff that we never got. Roles that he might have got. And, yeah, we had fun with it. It was more, I think, for all of us, it was more fun. But Weidman actually he made some money with that. With the Kevin Can Wait thing, and if that would have matured into a reoccurring part, it would have been great. Like what Kevin did for Boss Root, and they're very tight. Him and
Yeah.
Boss Root. Boss had a great. I think the last season he was in every episode.
And they had the Here Comes the Boom movie together, right? Bas Rutten
Without a
and Kevin
doubt. Yeah,
James.
Kevin's one of those guys, a very generous guy, and once you know him, he does try to help you. So you couldn't ask for a better friend who has that much clout in the business. So it was really, it was fun. I'm grateful for all of that stuff. Those are memories that you take, with you forever, and they're different than what you normally do. So it's kind of cool, I think.
And you mentioned Chris Weidman. I mean, where he is in his career now, coming off the leg break, is there any chance he fights again soon, like maybe this year or anything? And I know he has the grappling tournament coming up in
Yeah.
March. Is that him like putting his feet back in the water, saying, "Okay, I do want to do this again"? And is there a timeline maybe of when we could see him back in the cage?
I think so. I really, he moved to South Carolina. So,
Mhm.
we texted maybe a couple of weeks ago, but, I haven't really spoken with him as much as I probably should be. But, yeah, I think you're right with that. He wants to get his feet wet with the grappling, see how he feels. That leg, to me, and you'd have to talk to him about it, but I think it took more time than he would have liked. And,
Yeah.
he definitely does. He definitely wants to fight again. As of the last time I spoke with him, so I think you're right. I think this is a good test to see where he's at, and with going live against somebody that you don't know. So his wrestling is still absolutely phenomenal. So it should be interesting. I'm sure he's going to do great in that fight
That's
or that
good to hear. I
tournament,
mean,
whatever.
I'm not sure who his opponent is in the grappling tournament, but I think it's really good that it's not as much strain on the leg
Yeah,
than a fight would be. I'd be scared watching him take a calf kick or something. That would
100%.
that would scare me. But this, he can really feel the strength in his body again, right?
Yeah. I think it's a perfect move. I think it's in his wheelhouse, and I think you're 100% spot on with your analysis. Yeah, I don't want to see any of my guys. I don't want to see him get hurt. I think he's going to be 39, so
Yeah.
he's been doing other things. So I think he's starting to set himself up in the event that he doesn't fight. But he's pretty thick-headed when it comes to what he wants to do, and he's goal-oriented. And I know ESPN is doing a documentary on his comeback, so we'll see what happens.
I didn't know they're doing a documentary. Was that officially announced? Because that's really interesting to me. I'm very excited for that. All of a sudden, I'm like, man, yes, I need that now.
You're funny. Yeah, I believe he did announce it. I hope. Listen, I'm getting old, man. I might be crazy at this point, but I believe he did announce that way back. But that would have been like a year and a half ago. I mean,
Okay.
he's already out now. What is it? 2 years as of April, or
It'll be 2 years.
as of
2 years
something?
in April, right? 2 years in
Yeah,
April,
right.
because he broke on the first card back, right? That was the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
card back.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think you're right with that. Yeah, crazy. So Yeah, I don't even know, but I thought he did announce that they were doing something.
Okay, well that's good to know. I mean, that leg break watching that fight, I mean, I was shaken up for the rest of the event watching the event, and that happened at 4:30 a.m. where I live, and I was watching that live. It like almost ruined the whole event for me. Even though the rest of the event was really great, it
Yeah,
was like I was shaken up for the rest of the thing.
yeah, no, who the hell wants to, look, what the funniest thing is the first thing Dana said to me when he came in the octagon was, how coincidental is that? He broke
Yeah.
Anderson
No,
Silva's
exactly.
leg. Now his leg breaks. It was crazy. I mean, I wasn't thinking like that. I was just kind of in a state of shock myself. But it was funny when Dana said that. I go, wow, I never thought of it like that. But just what a wacky sport, man. Just a
It's
crazy, crazy sport.
crazy. And after that fight happened, and it's been surfacing again since John Jones got his fight out. There's a picture of Weidman, Connor, Silva, and Jones, and a few, and I think those are the main ones. And there's a few fighters in the background all talking. And people are saying, "Oh, this is the leg break curse photo, right?" So
Oh
is
man.
John next? Like, this is
Oh man.
now I've got this fear instilled in me that John's going to snap his leg in this Cyril
Wow.
Gahn fight.
Imagine that. And if he's gonna snap it, that would be a guy to snap it against.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, I'd be very worried, and I'm so excited for John's heavyweight debut, but man, wouldn't that put a stinker on the whole thing?
Wow. Yeah. That would I don't want to be superstitious, but
Knock on
that
wood, right?
if that happens, I'll go and call you right away. They go, you're a psychic.
Now going back, you've had three UFC champions in your time as a coach: Matt Serra, Aljamain Sterling, and Chris Weidman. Obviously, Aljamain Sterling's winning the belt was a little different from the rest of them. But what was the feeling like of going backstage with the belt, with the champions? Like, wow, we've accomplished this dream.
On after which fight?
After Serra, after Weidman, and
Oh,
I know
yeah, yeah. Well,
Aljo's was emotional, right? I mean,
yeah.
that was a
Aljo's was
tough way.
emotional, but we really, for me, I don't think, and I think Aljo probably shares the same sentiment. That fight with Peter Yan with the disqualification, nobody liked that. I don't think.
No.
But after the next fight, it was a big difference. So that was, they're all great. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, like somebody came up with something that's kind of horrible, but it's true. I had a champ in my 40s, my 50s, and my 60s, which I ain't happy about for sure. But I just hope the next guy gets one done before I'm 70. If Nas is going to do
Well,
it, I said
yeah.
try to
I
do
was
it in
gonna
a
say
couple of
Nas,
years
right?
because
He's
yeah. So, but no, those feelings are great. Look, we're in the history books. I'm very proud of these guys. Sometimes I look back, I don't even know how the hell anything happened, but I just always liked that we were a tight knit group, and those guys all three of those guys grew up 5 minutes from each other, which is it's
yeah.
like Long Island. I think we put Long Island on the map, and I'm a Long Islander for life, so I'm very proud of that. Uh, and yeah, I'm glad that these guys are all not only champions but champions in life. They're all very successful. They're all financially pretty well off. They love what they're doing now. Sarah loves teaching at his schools. He's got a great family. Same thing with Weidman. And Weidman's still young, so he's got ways to go. And
Yeah.
Aljo is way ahead of the game. Super smart guy. Always does his due diligence whenever he's buying a house or a car or anything. So never worry about Aljo, and they're all thankful for what they got. I think it's a great thing, and same thing for me. I'm very happy that those guys always took care of me, and um, it's a great story.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that would be in a movie. Maybe that's when you can have your next acting role, right?
I'll
That's your
tell you,
next starring role.
I'd love it. If somebody get a script, I'm down. That I'd really be down for. That would be great because it is
Who?
really when you think about it, it's really not easy to do. We're not. We
No.
got a 55 square foot gym. We're tiny. You got 30,000 square foot gyms out there with tons of guys. So, yeah, I think I've always liked that. I'm gonna say even it's funny. I never even thought of this, but even you don't know what the hell's the matter with me lately. But even in grammar school, like to sixth grade, we compete against other grammar schools. But I remember the gym teacher. I had a really small school. Maybe there were 20 kids, 20 guys. Everybody else had 80 guys. So when we were winning, I remember the gym teacher telling me, "Look, for you guys, it's unbelievable. You got to pick 11 guys from 20. They got to pick 11 from 80. And that's a big deal. So I think I always loved the underdog role and being the small guy. I think it's always what motivated me, even going back to when I was like 12 years old.
And the gym itself, is there? I'm guessing there's a class going on right now, right? Is always moving.
There's guys working out. There's no class going on, but there's guys working
Okay.
out. There's some private lessons going on. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I wanted to ask you, you know, the difference. You know, you've been a head coach in so many different camps, right? You've been a head coach of a 3-round camp, a 5-round camp, and a championship camp. Is there a big difference between them all, and what is that? You know, even from the 5-rounder to the championship.
Well, I mean, first off, I mean, you know, it's funny. I was saying this even with Nas. Every fight is. What I love about the UFC is every fight is a big fight.
Yeah.
There's no fights where you feel like, well, it's not like the amateurs where you got time to, you know, you could lose and nobody cares. But every fight is a big fight. They do a great job with that. So there's not a lot of difference, but I think emotionally for the championship fights, when you get guys all honed in together, I think it makes a big difference. Some of the other fights, they are big fights, but you don't get that same feeling of 10 people coming together to rally one guy on. So maybe that's a little different, but to me, they're all huge fights. You know, it's even, I remember, I think I was doing an interview with Megan O'Leary after Weidman won the title from Anderson Silva. She says, "What are you going to do?" I said, I got to go back on a plane. I got Quintus fighting in 2 weeks. Like, it's just, for me, it never stopped. It was always rolling. Yeah. And, you know, that's why sometimes when I do these interviews, I sit back, I get to reflect a little bit. And I go, wow, what a fucking crazy ride. But I'm not really doing that because you don't have time. There's always somebody else fighting. Like, even, so I just got done with Nas. Merab's fighting in 2 weeks. I got a couple other pros, up and coming guys fighting the week before that in Jersey. It just doesn't stop. You'll get your breaks for a month or two, but when it rolls, it's just one after the other. And then I got to come back. I got Justin Montalvo, big fight in Bellator on the 31st. And then you got, you know, Aljo's fight coming up, Frivola's fight coming up. So I think the beauty of having a small gym is every fight is big. You don't get lost in the crowd where you got 10 guys fighting on a card and then another 10 2 weeks later. These guys I think they get personal attention. I think it makes a big difference. And me, as a coach, I literally love it. I love beating somebody from a huge team.
And you mentioned Merab, right? I'm not exactly sure how to say his last name. I say Davalishvili, but I'm not sure if that's correct. Is that correct?
I think you say it way better than I say it. I'm going with you.
Perfect.
Davalishvili.
I'll have to ask Merab, right? But that fight, it's so big, and especially with your experience with Piotr Jan, you've watched countless hours of film on him. You know, Aljo's the perfect training partner now. I know he's been in Vegas for a lot of this camp, but how prepared do you think he is for this? Does he have like the perfect game plan for this?
You know, Merab's one of those guys. Look, first off, you know, we know him really well, but styles make fights, and I couldn't think of two different styles between Merab and Aljo. So we know him, but Merab is one of those guys. He's going to do what he's going to do. You give him a couple of guidelines, and I think he always holds to the game plan. But at the end of the day, he's a pressure fighter that has unlimited cardio, and I think he's going to need it in this fight because this is a really tough fight for him. You know, Aljo's movement really offset Jan. Merab's going to have to offset him, I think, with the takedowns. But the difference is Merab will go for a takedown 500 times in the fight. He's not going to stop because he's tired. So that's something that nobody wants to deal with. So I think that's going to be a huge difference in the fight. And not an easy fight. I mean, they both have really tough fights. Cejudo's another guy. I think he might be the ultimate competitor, that guy, and he's smart. He surrounded himself with good people, and that's going to be a tough fight. So I'm excited for both fights, but there's a lot on the line in the next couple of months.
And you know, if Merab can get past Piotr Jan, I mean that puts him right in line for the title as well. What are you going to do with Aljo? Aljo's talked about going up to 45 a lot. Is that the thing? Is it like, okay, once Merab beats Piotr Jan, maybe one more guy who really like solidifies himself as the number one, maybe Aljo beats Sean O'Malley, then it's like, okay, what else is there except these two? are we going to get a Colby Covington Masvidal story, or is Aljamain going up and Merab takes his spot?
I think. Look, I mean, I think that the theory is that Aljo's going up. I mean, he has mentioned it, and I think after Cejudo, there's only one guy left for him to fight is Sean O'Malley, and then outside of that, I think that's pretty well, you know, he took care of the division, right? Oh, Cheeto Vera too. Yeah, that's another guy. Cheeto is
I think that's Aljo's toughest fight. I'll be honest.
that
Cheeto for
Cheeto,
me is his
yeah,
toughest fight.
yeah. I don't know why he's not getting mentioned. He is getting mentioned, but
But he's
Cheeto
got to
really,
get past Corey Sandhagen next month.
yeah,
So
which is that's a great fight.
that's
So
so
there's
good.
so many good fights in those 4 or 5 guys that you could match up. I think if Merab gets past Peter Yan, which I know he will, I think he's got to get a title shot, and that's where it'll get crazy. If Aljo gets past Cejudo, he gets past Yan. It makes it very interesting. But they're so tight. They are really way closer than people think. And I look to show you how nice of a guy Aljo is, and he's a fucking great guy, real super great guy.
Yeah.
He wants to see Merab get that shot. I mean, this is crazy. I love it because I think it reflects on, the culture of the gym and what we've done here and the bonds and the friendships and all the things that actually really matter in life besides fighting, right? And I hope that holds up. But I think Aljo's mentioned that where he really wants to see him get a title fight. We'll see. I think the timing's going to be perfect.
Do you think Aljo thought it would be in a longer time? I think Merab's kind of, skyrocket up the division. He went from Moraes to Aldo, right? That was a big jump.
Yeah.
Do you think Aljo was kind of like, oh, he's already here. Now I have to give up my belt? Do you think there was something like that?
No, I don't think so. I don't feel that. I think it's fight by fight. And they both help each other to win fights. And, you'd have to ask him. But I don't think Aljo thinks like that. You know what I mean? But maybe you're right. You might be right on that.
And you mentioned Sean O'Malley. How do you like that fight stylistically for Aljo and even Merab? Because that could be a possible fight for Merab if Merab wants to sit out.
I look, Sean O'Malley's striking is exceptional. I mean, he is a sharpshooter. He's long. He knows how to use his range. I love his fakes. I actually love his stand-up. I think the difference is on the floor. Both of those guys, I don't think he could stop Merab from taking him down. Not over and over again, based on what I saw from the Yan fight. I think Cejudo's the tougher fight for Aljo. I think he'd have an easier time with O'Malley because of the wrestling and his jiu-jitsu. But yeah, he's going to be a champion eventually. He's still young enough. He's got losses on his record. I mean, I don't even know if he gets past Cheeto Vera again, which is unfortunate for Cheeto. And people don't even mention that, but he did beat him. And I think
he knocked him out. I mean, he knocked him out in the first round. That's as good as you can get, right?
Yeah, and again, in a 5-round fight, I don't know if he's keeping Cheeto off him. So there's so many, there's so many good fights, but respect Sean O'Malley a lot. I do love the way he fights. I think he's just got a couple of gaps in his game that, he could tighten up. But I think for a guy like Merab, I don't think he could keep Merab off of him.
And I wanted to ask you about the fights this weekend. Obviously, it's a great main event, light heavyweight main event. Are you going to be watching the card this week?
Yeah, I watch every card. Yep.
And so can we get a prediction from you on Krylov and Ryan Spann?
I think Spann takes it. I like Spann's stand-up. Yeah, I think he's going to take it.
Do you think it'll be – I think it's guaranteed someone's going out in the first round. I'm picking Krylov. I think Krylov can catch him because I think Krylov is a future champion right now because he's only 30 years old and he's been around forever.
He's been around forever. He's had his ups and downs too. Yeah, he has been looking good lately. I don't know. I think it's Spahn's time though right now. I think he's got good hands and he's gonna. Yeah, that's interesting though. Who's favored in that fight? Do you know?
I want to say Krylov's a slight edge because he's number 6. But I think it's close. I think it's close. When I release prediction videos every week, and I was stuck. I think someone's going out, and that's why I'm excited for this fight.
Yeah. I'd like to see the prop bets on that. Should be interesting.
Yeah. So you got to ask your man John Anik, right? He's got all the odds.
Well, not nobody's allowed to talk about betting anymore. No,
Oh, you're right.
I'm only joking. I'm joking, but yeah, Annick's way more on top of that than I am.
I wanted to ask you as well with the Kraus situation. Are you allowed to bet, or I'm guessing you don't
No,
really bet, but you're not allowed either?
no. I used to. I love betting on my guys because a lot of times they're the underdog and I do really well with that. But no, not now. You're not allowed to bet.
So
Coaches,
no one is
managers, fighters.
coaches, teammates, nothing.
Yeah, that's what I was told. I mean,
Wow.
I mean, look, I'm never going to be. I could bet probably because I'm not betting through DraftKings like everybody else. I get a local bookie. Nobody's gonna. They wouldn't know if I bet or I didn't bet. But I'm on the up and up anyway. I wouldn't. I don't like the whole Kraus situation. I think you should be able to bet. On. I think you should be able to. Even the fighters should be able to bet on themselves. You start betting against your fighters or something like that, then it's a major problem. But I'm not a big
And
better anyway. But.
and one thing I wanted to get out of you before we move on to this next part of my show is your Jones versus Gane prediction. I know you normally save these for the Anik Florian pod, but can we get a
Nah,
prediction out of you?
I think if Jones' game plan is to take that fight to the floor, he could win that fight in one round if he wanted to. Almost like what he
Okay.
did to Gustafsson in the second fight. He just why play around standing up? I don't think Gane could stop him from taking him down. But again, they are heavyweights. We've never seen him fight at heavyweight before. Maybe he doesn't want to expend the energy because the worst thing that could happen to Jones, he gets a little tired with a guy like Gane, who really is his stand up for a heavyweight is he fights like a lightweight. So
Yeah.
right now I would lean towards Jones just because I think the biggest discrepancy is in the wrestling based on what I saw from Ngannou, who had really one leg at the time. He had to
Yeah.
go in for surgery after that. So and I hope he's lying about, he doesn't
Yeah.
train until he get that doesn't even, I mean, I hope he's throwing everybody off because if he's serious, yeah, go ahead.
That would be good because I think he likes to play some jokes because he did something. I don't know if you remember before he fought Derek Lewis in Houston. He walked out to a song by a Houston rapper. So when the music first started playing, everyone got excited because they thought it was Derek Lewis. Then out walked Cyril. So maybe he's just playing with another one of his jokes.
Those French have a weird sense of humor, so you might be right.
And this next part of my show, it's a little quick fire. It's little short answers, some to do with fighting, some not to do with fighting. So first off, what's your favorite movie?
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. What's your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show right now? Oh man, this ain't rapid fire. Do I watch TV shows? I'm not even sure right now. This could
Anything
be
on
anytime.
Netflix? Yeah, it can be any
Oh,
TV show.
oh man, I'm drawing a
No,
blank.
it's tough.
Give
I
me a
know, man.
no,
Pardon?
no. Who was that?
No, I said it's tough. I thought you said a show as I said that.
No, no, no. Let me think. What the hell was the last thing I watched? Sometimes I'm watching with my kids too, so I'm not saying they're my favorite show, but oh, I like the Hell on Wheels. I thought that was
Yeah,
great. I just finished that. I thought it was a great series. I'll go with that.
yeah. Favorite song or artist? Maybe more of a general sense.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin.
Led
Big
Zeppelin.
Zeppelin fan. Yep.
And I know you coach a lot of fighters, but outside, let's say outside of the Sarah Longo Law MMA team, who's your favorite fighter right now?
Oh, right. Man, I love what Demetrius Johnson's doing in one. I always thought he was great, but I think he's by far pound for pound the best fighter out there based on just even what he did with that Thai guy. He had to go one round with him, who that guy's an absolute
Yeah,
killer.
Rod Tang is
No
unbelievable.
joke. Unbelievable. He took that round like a champ and then he submitted him in the second round. So to me, I think that was pretty big. A lot of guys wouldn't even want to do a round with Ratang. So I like Demetrius Johnson. I like a lot of people though. I love the way Alex Pereira hits, man.
Yeah.
I think he's just an absolute beast for the stand up. He's got man, unusual power, like just
Yeah, he does.
unusual from a short distance. I really enjoy watching him fight.
I actually saw him. So I was at a kickboxing event and I was working press there. You know
Yeah,
Glory, right? Glory
yeah,
Kickboxing.
yeah. Of course, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he was the champion there, and I didn't realize he was going to be there because it was in a small village here in Germany, or small, not a village, small city.
Yeah.
And I kind of see something on the TV, and I say to one of the guys, "Is that Alex Pereira sitting down cage side?" And the amount of fanfare he was getting, I felt bad for him. He was being like crowded into this small area, but he is
Wow.
so big in person. Like
Oh man,
I don't know
he's a
how he makes
beast.
185.
That's going to be the biggest problem for him is making that weight. He's freaking huge, and man, his reach, the way he generates power from a short distance is absolutely amazing.
He walked into the press room to say goodbye at one point, and I looked behind me. It scared the life out of me because he was so big. He was like
Yeah,
one of the biggest people I've ever met, just like his size and his height.
yeah. He walked in with Glover, and Glover was the heavyweight champion. I mean, I think he looked bigger. I mean, it was just, and
Yeah,
Glover's big, but
Glover's a big guy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But this guy, 185, that's almost criminal.
And moving back to this, do you have a favorite fight of all time? Can be a Sarah Longo guy, but any fight in general that was your favorite of all time?
Uh, I mean, Sarah GSP1 will never get old. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it. I
No.
liked
Yeah.
Al's fight with Kevin Lee. The second fight I thought had a
That's a
great
great fight.
ambiance for 5 rounds. Just a really
5 minutes of hell, as you said, right?
Weidman Machida.
Yeah. Another
There's been
great
some
one.
really good fights. So
I mean, you've coached some amazing fights, amazing game plans as well. So
yeah, so they're all it's hard. I'm telling I was saying it before. Like it's one fight after another. You're traveling. I'm gonna need like a year after retirement, then I'll come up with all of these questions will make more sense to me. Everything's so jumbled up in my head right now. It's
just
hard to
shoot
say.
me a
But there's
text
a
a
couple of
year after
fights I
you
could watch.
retire.
So yeah, there's a what was that?
You just shoot me a text a year after you retire with all the answers to the questions, right?
100%. That's a promise. I'll definitely do that.
um, do you have any memorable interactions with a fighter, like outside of your camp? Any interactions backstage with another fighter?
Uh, I mean, I'm pretty friendly with a lot of people. I always like seeing Chandler. I mean, I have some
Yeah,
good interactions with him. He's just a great guy. Um, you see, what I don't like about these questions is like again, my brain is shot. I don't want to forget anybody or do anything, but I don't know. Yeah, I've always had good interactions, but I'm just thinking at the Garden, I had a funny interaction with Chandler. But I'm trying to think of who else. It could be anybody. I don't know. I saw Anderson Silva one time, had a good interaction after Machida was always nice after the Weidman
yeah,
fight. Always had great interactions with him. Who else? Saint Pierre, forget about it. Great,
yeah.
just what a great guy that guy is. And like again, that's one thing I love about the fighting for these guys. You fight somebody and then you become good friends with them. I think is probably the best type of friendship you could have. I think those things are real, they're organic. Like even Matt and Dean Thomas had, bad blood
Yeah.
years ago. Now they're super close. Love seeing Dean. What a fucking great guy he is.
I had him on my show
He's
when
awesome.
when I was getting started, and he was so nice to me, gave me so much advice, and now about a year and a half later, now I'm doing much better than I was in 2021. So it was so cool getting that. He's such a great
Yeah,
guy, and he's so encouraging.
100%. What a good guy. So all of that stuff. And like again, GSP, just what an absolute gentleman. What
Yeah.
a great ambassador to the sport. So always love seeing him. Yeah, so there are a lot of good interactions. I think I know, I love, even the other coaches, everything. It's a nice small community, and everybody understands you got to do what you have to do, even fight in other camps and stuff like that. It is what it is, but the coaches just do their job, and that's it. But we're all pretty friendly.
And to close out, I want to ask you, maybe it's after you retire and you haven't been there, or it's somewhere you've been. Dream vacation spot.
Well, place I want to get to now is my homeland, which is Italy. I haven't been to. And if
You
I go
haven't
to
been
Italy,
to
I'll
Italy
stop
yet?
by. And I haven't been to Italy. I've been
Wow.
Japan, Australia. I've been all over the place. We just went to Abu Dhabi for the Aljo fight. I mean, that's one of the perks about, the fight games. You get to see the world where you would never have been able to go. You could have, but you probably wouldn't take the time. And I had a chance to go to Italy with one of the fighters from Italy that was training here, but I had something else on the docket.
Mhm.
But the fight, I think, was in, where the hell was it? Venice,
Was
I
it Bell?
think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was Pietro Panini was fighting.
Okay.
He's fought in Bellator. You might not know him.
The name rings a bell. I was just thinking because in October I was in Milan for a Bellator card, so I was thinking, was he on that card or something?
He might have been. I haven't seen him in a while, but so I'd say Italy would be like the bucket list, which we'll get done. My hip's a little jacked up now, so if I get my hip fixed, I'm definitely going to Italy so I could do it the right way. Plus Germany. I mean, do you know Daria Albers? Does that name sound familiar to you?
The what?
Daria Albers.
Albus, like the Alps and stuff where the mountains is, or
No, I'm saying that it's a girl. She fought. I thought she lives in Germany. Daria, Daria, Alba, Alber. She's become the mind coach for Jan Blankowitz.
here, let me look it up and I can see where the spot she is from.
Yeah. I think she was from Poland, but I thought she was living in Germany. She's a sweetheart. I was just going to give her a shout out.
Area Albers. It it's just saying Germany, but if you're ever coming to Germany, message me and we'll
100%.
figure it out. Or even Italy. I mean, I've been to Italy a few times. It's a great place. So hit,
Oh, nice.
hit me up when you're in Europe, and we can definitely figure something out, right?
Definitely. If you ever need help, you need an interview, call me. You seem like a really nice young man. I'll do anything to help you. You seem like a great guy. So
Thank you so
keep up
much,
the
man.
good work.
That's it for the interview. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule for the show. I
No,
mean, 45
yeah.
minutes is great.
No,
It's really
anytime.
great.
Again, you need anything, buddy, just give me a call. We'll get it done.
Will do. Thank you so much.